Wednesday evening to join us. Welcome to book launch of Transition: A Journey in Laos. My name is Petra and I'll be the MC this evening. Some of us may have read the book and some of us may not have read the book, but if you have any questions for the author, please hold it to the end. We'll dedicate some time for the Q&A. And also at the very end, the author will sign the book if you bring a copy with you, but if you haven't purchased yet, you can always buy it on your way out. We'll start the evening off with a little bit something more relaxing. We'll have a song for you. We have our friends over there, Pira and Giang. Pira will be the vocalist and Giang will be on the guitar. And I'll leave them to introduce themselves and the song that they'll be performing for us.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Pira and this is Giang. And before we are going to perform a song for all of you. And before we start, allow me to congratulate Sangha for this awesome achievement of his. Sangha and I, we know each other for about 11 years. Back in 2003, we first came as ASEAN scholars. And for the first 3 months, we studied the same English class. And Sangha struck me as a very hardworking, very passionate, super friendly, and very happy boy. So after that 3 months, we were posted to different schools. Sangha went to Sydney Secondary School. I myself went to CHIT for 5 years. So we didn't really keep in touch, but often I receive updates about him from my Thai roommates because he's very popular among the Thai girls. So yes, he has been such an inspiration to all of us because of his dedication and his sincerity working towards the betterment of others. And I'm really glad to have known him, and I'm really thankful to have this opportunity to stand here and be part of this awesome journey. I hope you enjoy the song. It is a combination between two songs. One is Aubrey and the other is Hallelujah. I hope you enjoy it.
And Aubrey was her name, and not so very ordinary girl on pain, but who's to blame for a love that wouldn't bloom, for the hearts that never played in tune, like a lovely melody that everyone can sing. Take away the words that rhyme, it does not mean a thing. And Aubrey was her name. We tripped the light and danced together to the moon. But where was June? No, it never came around. If it did, it never made a sound. Maybe I was absent or was listening too fast, catching all the words, but then the meaning going fast. And God, I missed a girl, and I'll go 1,000 times around the world just to be closer to her than to me. heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fourth, and a major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied her to your kitchen chair. She broke your throne and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew the hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kira and Ian. Excellencies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you a gentleman who wrote a foreword in San's second book, Transition, A Journey in Laos, Dr. Kapal Singh. Dr. Kapal Singh is an international renowned writer, poet, fictionist, scholar, and critic, having published more than 20 books and 200 articles. He's also appeared in various TV stations and radio channels, such as CNBC, BBC, CNN. And in print, he also appeared in the Wall Street Journals, Time Magazine, The Age, and many other publications. He also acts as a consultant to many international brands, such as L'Oreal, IBM, 3M, and P&G, to name a few. His view is highly sought after by many government bodies around the world, as well as leading universities such as MIT, Yale, and Cambridge. Dr. Singh is highly regarded as a creativity guru and a futurist. His 2004 book entitled Thinking Hats and the Colored Turban, Creativity Across Cultures, paved a way for a radically different perspective on the nature of creativity as we know it. And of course, he had written a beautiful foreword for San's second book, which I strongly encourage everybody to get. Now, may I invite Dr. Singh to say a few words, please.
Thank you so much for the very, very generous introduction. Some of the activities you mentioned in connection with myself were done like years ago. But anyway, I'm very, very happy to be here. Actually, I find myself in an interesting situation because in some ways we are also the host of today's event, which is the Wee Center. And on behalf of the Wee Center, I'd like to welcome all of you to the Singapore Management University and to this wonderful space which we call our University Lounge. I grew up at a time, and I was in university at a time, and I taught at the old University of Singapore at a time, and these things were super luxuries. I mean, they were only available to the really high rollers, high flyers, and all of that. In the universities, we were very, very happy. We had the equivalent of today's kopitiam as a place to adjourn to for a drink or a chat. So we've come a very, very long way. SMU takes a great pride in occupying this very central sort of city space. It's a kind of vision that the founding gentleman called Stienberg had about Singapore. And you know that where the old Singapore institution then became Raffles Institution stood is now the wonderful hotels, but very near it is our university and many other universities and schools and colleges around the place. So this whole precinct is very much an educational hub. But enough of that. Today is all about Sanwa and his wonderful book. So congratulations, Sanwa, wherever you are, this is a great moment for you. But before I say a few words about Sanwa and the book, I do want to recognize a couple of individuals who are in the audience with us today. First of all, of course, our guest of honor, Mr. Joe Consencio, who will be hopefully saying a few words after this. Mr. Consencio is a very, very outstanding citizen of Singapore, having given a lot of his life to the nation building that was in process when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew was at the helm. In addition to Mr. Joe Consencio, I should also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Herman Hochstadt, who is here, who also shaped, in many ways, primarily the educational landscape of Singapore, because he served as Singapore's permanent secretary in many ministries, but primarily in, at least for today's context, as permanent secretary of Ministry of Education. There are many others in the audience that I should also acknowledge, especially our roving ambassador who is here, Mr. Dilip Nair, His Excellency, over there as well. And of course, the many friends and relatives, and of course, Sanwa's godmother, who just flew in from the Lao Republic yesterday. Can we all welcome her and thank you for gracing the occasion. Our author today, and I say this with some degree of, I suppose going to be evoking some sentiment over here. So today is a wonderful and joyous occasion as we mark the book, and I'll say a few things about that. But I also do want to say that this may be a moment when we should also remember and note that our author will be leaving Singapore for a while. I hope it will be for a while. We do not know when he will come back. Maybe he will tell us a little more whether he'll come back, but he's leaving Singapore at the end of this month, and then he's going back to his home for a while, and then from there he's proceeding to China to pursue his graduate studies, and who knows where the next stage might be. I say this because I suspect there is a third book that is going to be coming out very soon, because I see the books that San has been writing as a trilogy. So the first book, Stateless, is precisely about that. It's about being in a state where you're very, very uncertain for many reasons, and I think in his case, probably the reason being he was a very young boy when he had to become a refugee in a United Nations camp that was actually in Thailand because of the bad things that were happening in his home in Laos. The second book, which I had the honor to write a little forward to, deals the years coming back to the Lao Republic. It deals with his early education, and there are wonderful, wonderful scenes, both domestic, social, some allusions to the political landscape, which shaped in a way the sensibility. And I suspect the third book would be from the journey he made getting the ASEAN scholarship, where the current book ends, and coming to Singapore and then finishing his degree. We in Singapore Management University are very proud of this young man because apart from being a kind of financial wizard and having a wonderful intellect, he is a very, very natural writer. And as a writer myself, I am very, very proud of the way he writes, or what he has written, and the subjects he's dealt with. There are basically two broad types of writers. The kind of writers that essentially write for, I suppose, just for the sake of writing and for themselves. And I think there is another type that writes basically for what I would call the broad education of all of us. And I think Sanwa belongs to the second category. I myself have never been too comfortable with the art for art's sake movement, meaning that I only write for myself. I don't care what you think of my book or what you think of my writing. I'm not even bothered if you read my book or not. That's the art for art's sake, the aesthetic and all that. But I think the second category, some people are a little bit nervous because they think that when you write to educate, you adopt a viewpoint, and that viewpoint is your viewpoint but may not be shared by other people. But that is a bigger question. However, when one is writing a kind of life story, a life journey, both the categories become, in a sense, adjacent to the core of the writing that we are reading, because in an autobiographical story, the narrative is basically authentic and speaks volumes of the journey of the person that is being talked about, primarily the writer himself, because usually in an autobiography, I am myself, and I'm writing about my life, and what happened to me, and what happened to those loved ones, and near ones, and dear ones. And so as we read Sanwa's books, whether it's Stateless, the first one, or the second one, you know, it is okay to cry. It is okay to shed tears. It's okay to realize that as we in Singapore have enjoyed such a wonderful and comfortable living at all levels, I might say, compared to what he went through, we are made to be suddenly aware of the fact of the great disparities that exist between human beings. And I think this is, you know, where I want to say that Sanwa, apart from writing his story, is also doing something very noble about the proceeds that result from the purchases of the books. This is where I want to put a big plug in. I think it is quite an open secret, as it were. It's not a secret, it's an open sort of thing that the author is trying to raise funds to help his fellow citizens at home in some ways become empowered. I use this word very, very sort of carefully, because to say that this is all for the enhancement of human beings and for the empowerment is one thing, but we have to be also very careful about the perspective. The perspective here is just trying to raise about $30,000 to $40,000 with the sale of the second book that will help women become a little bit aware of their positions and of what enormous work they can do to make the lives of those around them better. We know that women are very complex creatures, and my wife is just sitting over here. We know that women are very often taken for granted. But I think I'm also involved in a women's program in the Victim Center. One of the things we are learning is that when women become aware of just how powerful they are, when all of you become aware of just how powerful you are, whether as a daughter, whether as a wife, whether as a lover, whether as a sister or brother, to some brother and all of that, and just being yourself is so critical in terms of what you can do to change the people around you. And very often you bring with the head also an enormous heart. And I must say that in writing, a lot of male writers, particularly these days, are very head. They're very in the head. So the books that they write are quite often devoid of that kind of emotionality, that kind of heart that comes out. And this is another reason why Sanwa's books are very well written, I think, because the heart and the head are so beautifully fused, so that the two go together, the brain and the heart. They are pumping a lot of energy to each other. So this is really, really wonderful. It was a very great honor when he wrote to me and said, Prof, he still calls me Prof. I asked him to call me Kirpa many times, but he says, Prof, can you please do me the honor of writing a foreword? And for me, it was my honor to write the young man a simple foreword, because I think he more than deserves it, and I am totally honored and privileged and flattered in doing so. So ladies and gentlemen, I urge you not only to buy one copy, but to buy as many copies as you can, and just make generous donations as you buy the books, because all the money is collected, nothing is going to his own pocket. Every single cent is going to this wonderful development scheme that he has to empower the women that are working terribly hard in the villages and who have seen life from angles that at least we in Singapore have not only thanked God for not ever seeing, but perhaps we'll never ever hopefully have the chance to go through. Well, our sympathies are there, our empathies are there, and history is so large, and history is so wonderfully a reminder that what we enjoy today may not always be there tomorrow. So on that note, I want to say congratulations again, Sanwa, wherever you are. It's great having you here, and please remember to come back to Singapore and SMU, even though you've been in China or wherever else your journey might take you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Now, as mentioned by Dr. Singh, that we'll invite our guest of honor, Mr. Joseph Consenzel, on stage to say a few words. But before that, let me introduce to you our guest of honor. He is a former member of parliament as well as a former ambassador to Australia, Indonesia, and former Soviet Union. Prior to that, he was the director of extramural studies, continuing education at the National University of Singapore. Mr. Consenzel also wrote a few books such as Flavors of Change, Singapore and the Many-Headed Monsters, and Love and War in Malacca. Despite his older age, he is full of humor, active, sharp, and agile. Whenever you talk to him, there's never a moment of dullness. So we're honored here to have him with us. To have him with us to grace the event for tonight. Mr. Joseph, please.
Dear friends, I hope you can hear me. I feel a little bit, well, to say the least, uncomfortable because I see so many distinguished people, particularly Dr. Kirbal Singh, who has been an old friend, and Herman Hochstadt, who has been mentioned, and lots of other people whom I cannot see because the lights are glaring on my ear. First of all, I must say that Sunwise achieved a great deal because he's shown a great deal of entrepreneurship by producing this book. Normally, when you think about an entrepreneur, you think of somebody who does something to start a business or produce something to further his own interest, but Anwar is not that kind of person. He's a person who has done something for his country. I read, that Laos is a land of a million smiles. And it's true. Whenever I look at Sanwa, I can't help smiling myself. And I hear that Laos is a land of a million elephants. And when I look at Sanwa, I see that his smile so expensive. I wonder whether he got them from the elephants. And because he's smiling and so gentle, he's a very gracious person. And out of his graciousness and generosity, he has made this contribution to books. It's a wonderful thing of people producing books just like that, I myself, I produced one book in the initial years, Dr. Kirbal Singh has said, and that was, okay, he got a few dollars. But the next book I published, immediately I published those books, all the bookstores in Singapore closed down. In that sense, he's full of smiles, entrepreneur. And you must believe me, you caught me by surprise. I came to say not a few words, but a couple of pages, because I did not know what I was supposed to do. And until a friend of mine here, I went to point to him, he said if I talk too much, he'll walk out, you see. And knowing, I believe even, no, I won't mention his name. So in that sense, Salwa is an extraordinary person. He has managed to do all these things. And in all that, he's also a manly person, full of energy, not only graciousness and entrepreneurship, but it's full of energy, manliness, and virtue. And incidentally, the word virtue derives from a Latin word meaning man. He's also a manly person in that sense. I've listed here so many virtues that I feel that I better not carry on because my friend will be walking out, you see. So I must say that I'm very happy to be here. You know, is there any person here who might have the name of Diana? Anybody? No, she's afraid to admit it. Because the word in the song Diana, it goes, "You're so young and I'm so old." God bless you all. I have I've had a wonderful time talking to you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll have something a little different. We have students from NUS, Sanwa, and a group of students from NUS Civil Engineering Club went to Laos last year in 2013 for as part of their youth expedition program. So we have Usha here, the project director, to share about their journey with us.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Usha. I'm a final year civil engineering student in NUS, and last year I was the project director of Operation Orion 2013. So what happens is we're actually a youth expedition program, and we're under the NUS Civil Engineering Club. Every year we try to source for something meaningful that we can try to embark on and hopefully use whatever engineering knowledge we have learned, which may not be that much, but enough to hopefully impact some people who live in situations that are maybe not as monetarily well off as us. And I say monetarily because when I went there, I just didn't feel like, I don't think anyone is lacking in any way, and money is just one aspect. So when we I actually met Sanva through a mutual acquaintance, and Sanva told us that he plans to write a book and that he wants to start this pilot project of building a school. And he told us why he wants to build this school. And when he was describing how he wants to go about raising the money, and we were really impressed by how passionate he is about this, and we felt that we have to be in on this as well, and this would be the biggest project that we have ever done. Usually, I mean, we're just students, you don't expect to raise that much of funds, so you do small things. So this was the first time that we did something as major as trying to, get enough funds to build a school. So after actually partnering with Sanva, what we did was we started trying to fundraise. That was a very new experience. I had no idea how to go about it. We actually did things like sell candy in school that brought in some money. And then we did rag and bone collection. That was very labor intensive. So we spent 2 whole weekends scouring the UT neighborhood for old newspapers and clothes and selling them to the Garangoni, for those of you who are familiar with the term. And then we actually came across 2 construction companies who were willing to sponsor us because we're from civil engineering, and they were very generous. They're called Bohak Private Limited and Dragaj Singapore. And they were really, really very supportive, and I cannot be more grateful. To me, that was the ultimate sign of support, because we were also feeling quite insecure at that time, not sure if we had bitten off more than we could chew. So just to share a bit about our experience, I have actually been on these youth expedition programs before. Usually we just fly straight to a place, and then there's a truck to pick us up, and then we go very conveniently to the place, and then everything is really comfortable and nice. This time, the journey itself was very interesting. We actually took a plane to Bangkok, and some of you might already know how we actually go to Norway. And then from Bangkok, we actually took a 13-hour bus ride, 13-hour bus ride. And then at that time, the bridge wasn't completed. So we crossed the Mekong River in those little boats. So maybe 5, 6 people at a time with our really huge bags. And then we took the truck up to the village. And by the time we reached, most of us were already half, out of our minds. Most of us couldn't sleep. Some people were dazed. And then when we went there, we were actually expecting cold and dry weather. And Sanva told us to expect 15 degrees Celsius at night, which was a lie. when we went there, it was raining and raining and raining, which we weren't prepared for, so we couldn't dry our clothes. So which meant stinky students. And then it was really cold at night. Like, I think, we didn't know the temperature, which I think was good, because if we had known the temperature, I think psychologically would have assumed that we were dying of hypothermia. We actually survived, and when we went for R&R, Sarva's brother told us that the temperature there had been about 8 degrees Celsius. So, of course, as Singaporean students, we think we can handle it. We bring a couple of sweatshirts and hoodies and think we are safe, and that was not sufficient at all. I remember one night I was in my sleeping bag, my really lousy sleeping bag, and then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was wondering, do I cry now? It's just too cold. And then after that, I just sat there and I tried sitting up and sleeping because I thought that felt warmer. And then this gust of cold air would come from I don't know where. So basically all of us looked for, and then we all started, even though most of us need our private space, but after a while, everyone just sort of sleep as close to each other as they can. Even the guys, because generally the guys are very, they don't like to be too close to other guys. I mean, you know, so, but for some reason on that trip, the guys were very chummy indeed. So there was a lot of hugging involved. Every night our sharing sessions, we actually had guys, one guy sitting on another guy's lap, because apparently that was warmer. So the things that we resorted to keep ourselves warm was hilarious. I just wanted to say this because, you know, that was honestly one of the biggest challenges that we faced was the cold. And then there was also one day whereby the rain was really bad, so the river kind of stopped, and the water comes from the river. There were some blockages. So what happened was we had no water. And then when we were told we had no water, everyone sort of, in the beginning, of course, we just panicked. Because here we walk anywhere, there's like 5 taps in your house alone. You just on the tap and then plenty of clean water that you can even drink comes out. So we had drinking water, and then that day we had just had dance practice. So we had people who were really sweaty, including one of my team members there who choreographed the dance. So she was really very sticky and she was looking forward to bathing, and then we realized there's no water. So what me and my other project director did was, we banned people from bathing and told them that this water can only be used for flushing. Other than that, no, you're not allowed to bathe. And I remember when people would take too long in the toilet, I would knock on the door, you're not bathing, right? Just, you know, to make sure. And we went, I think, 2 days like that. And until now, when I come home, I used to enjoy really long hot showers. Until now, I can't. It's just, I on the tap and I'm like 5 minutes later, okay, I shouldn't waste water. You know, you never know when the water is going to stop. So I think that taught us a really important lesson. One more thing was actually the communication barrier. Why I want to say the communication barrier is, I actually think it wasn't a barrier at all. We actually were supposed to have a translator and we didn't. In the end, as in, we just had the headmaster who spoke broken English, but he wasn't there all the time. So at night, we had no translator. And we thought that would be a huge problem. But it turns out that you don't really need a physical language to speak and to communicate. And we made friends without, you know, a common language. And that to me was very interesting. And when I say friends, I don't just mean acquaintances, because I had team members crying. Some of the villagers were crying when we were leaving. And until now, many of us hope to return someday. And I hope to organize maybe a trip so that some of us can go back. And that was very interesting to me, because we always assume that when you go overseas, when you travel, you need a translator. It's not always true, I think. And yeah, the next thing I wanted to share was also, I realized something. When we went there, we thought we would be helping people. But actually, in the end, right, we were so well looked after, to the best of their ability, that we felt a bit like a burden. So when we realized how much they were doing for us, we were like, oh no, they shouldn't do that. And then we would try to tell them to not do it. Like, if we went outside to sit, just to look at the stars, because there's so many stars, and the shooting stars and everything, we would just go outside and sit, and they would try to bring lights to us, because there's no electricity. And we literally had to, no, please don't, and like beg them not to do it, and like go back in, so that they wouldn't do it. And they were really, they accepted us with open arms, and no sort of wariness at all. The children were really precious darlings, and that's something I'm very thankful for. And then, I want to say something about the farewell. Okay, I'm sorry, this is getting a bit long. But the farewell was amazing. So basically what we thought was we were going to have a cultural exchange. So we wanted to put up some performances. We had an Indian dance, we had a Malay dance, Chinese dance, we had some ballroom dance. So we just got a couple for everything. We even had Gangnam Style, things like that. And then they actually put up performances as well. And the opening ceremony was like a huge feast. And then we did this very interesting called Lam Wang Lao, right? Lam Wang Lao. Lam Wang Lao, right. So that's like a traditional dance where the men come up to you and then they invite you up to dance. And then you go in this huge circle and the music is blasting and they dance all day. And it was really the most interesting experience of my life. Because like from 1 p.m. until 7 p.m. they didn't even stop dancing. Until when we were tired and decided to go and shower, they kept trying to get us out to continue dancing. And then we're like, no, I can't dance anymore, especially the girls. Because like the men are the one who invite the girls, right? So if the guys go off, it's okay, nobody's going to invite them to dance. But when the girls go off, I remember I was like, okay, it's time for me to escape now. And I was walking further away and then I heard somebody calling my name over the loudspeaker. I was like, oh no, I've been caught. So I had to go back and dance again. But it was really, really interesting. Seeing the children put up their dance performances was really cool. And on the day that we were leaving, we had a traditional Mien farewell ceremony whereby the village elders tie these strings around our wrists and they wish us well, basically. We couldn't understand exactly what they were wishing us because they were wishing us in Mien, I'm guessing. So, but the sincerity in their expressions and the remorse on the village head's face when we were about to leave, it really struck a chord because there were some village elders. There was one village elder who was crying and then he knew some English, and I think what he was trying to tell me is that next time if I'm working around the area that I should go back, I think, because there was a really long conversation. I pieced together like the few English words that there were. So that was really interesting, and I think the farewell was the best farewell that I've ever received overseas because it was after a while we also started going around tying the strings for them and then we would greet them in English. So we both don't know what we're each wishing each other. But I still have that coil of strings in my wallet because I think it symbolizes something to me. So yeah, just wanted to share a bit about the trip, and I want to thank Sanva for giving me and my team such a wonderful opportunity. It was truly the best experience of my life, and I think this is the one thing I can take away with me from my university education. Yeah.
Thank you for a very interesting sharing. Well, we've heard from everybody but the man himself. The reason why we gathered here today is because of Sanwa Sefan. Well, this man, since we are either his friends, his colleagues, or somewhat know him in one way or another, this man doesn't really need a lot of introduction. Besides, there are a lot of individuals before me who introduced him very well already. But for the benefit of those who are not sure why you're here, allow me to introduce my friend Sanwa a little bit. He's a very intelligent and very talented friend of mine. As mentioned by Pera earlier, he's very inspirational as well. The willing and the sincerity of him in helping others is really, truly a blessing in human race, I shall say. And also, he's the first Mien writer from Laos, and he was born in the refugee camp in Thailand as well. He wrote the first book, Stateless, a story of a spirited boy. The fund raised from the proceeds of the book went into helping to build a primary school, much needed in his hometown, Bokeo in Laos. And the proceeds from the second book, which is a transition, A Journey in Laos, which recounts his stories when he moved from the refugee camp back to Laos. The proceeds will go into helping with the renovation of the training facilities for the Laos Women's Union Center in Vientiane, Laos. So without further ado, I will invite Samvasapan to come and share with us a little bit about the project that he's having.
So I guess finally it's my turn now. Okay, a very warm evening to one and all, and thank you so much for joining me this evening to celebrate the birth of Transition, a journey in Laos together. And I'm glad to see so many familiar faces, and in fact, many of you have been there with me since the inception of Stateless, as well as my first project, Banantong Primary School. And before I proceed, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to a few individuals who have made today's event possible. And one of them is none other than Uncle Joe. Thank you so much. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how Uncle Joe and I met. It wasn't a direct contact. It was through Jane, who read about me on a paper. She decided to contact me, and then they just arranged for dinner. Together with her two other friends, Uncle Bernard as well as Elizabeth, who are here with us this evening. And I was during the dinner, Uncle Bernard was asking me, so how could I be of your help? And then I said I was actually looking for a guest of honor. And then without any hesitation, he decided to link me up with Uncle Joe, who was his former school teacher at that time. Yeah, that's how everything started. And another person that I would like to say thank you to is Professor Kapal Singh. Thank you so much for the beautiful forward and the trust you and Canada have in me. I still feel so bad that I had to bug you to send me the forward all the way from Milan when you were supposed to go there enjoying your holiday as well as shopping. Okay? And so above all is my wonderful English teacher, Mrs. Lau. Are you here this evening? Mrs. Lau? Thank you so much. As Mr. Sharma, who couldn't be here this evening. They are my wonderful editors. There were many nights that they had to stay up late just to respond to my tight deadlines. And I'm glad that our paths have crossed. And so to Mr. Sharma, even though he's not here, I still remember that he used to tell me, because I always asked him to mark my essay papers for me, and he was saying that Sanva was actually sick of blotting the paper. And then, so I hope that as he was editing my manuscript, he did not say those words. Yeah, so similar to my first project, this project is to raise funds for another good cause that I personally see the value in helping. The proceeds of this book, like what Sopektra as well as Prof. Singh has mentioned, will go towards renovating as well as building the vocational training facilities at the Lao Women's Union Center. And this project is one that's very dear to my heart because I personally know of my former classmates as well as some females from my village, work in an environment where it's not widely accepted by many societies. And if you care to find out more, or not so quick to judge, you would know that they were there not because they wanted to. Many a time, a lot of these females, they are there because they're being forced into a dark corner of no choice, as far as the basic necessities like food and water are of essence to their survival. So that's why this project is one that not only about helping females alone, but it's one that I truly believe in the value of helping. And this center is a government-linked agency, and it has been around for years. But over the years, there have been a lot of successful stories of the center, helping a lot of females to lift themselves out of poverty. And I think they can take up to about 150 to 180 females per year. And the age of these females can range from 15 to 40 years of age. And a lot of them are from disadvantaged backgrounds, as well as the bottom rank of the economic status. And among these females, there's a handful of them who used to be the victims of sex trafficking, drugs, as well as domestic violence. But today, I'm not going to highlight on the plight of these females, simply because every time I have a discussion with friends on these topics, I feel tongue-tied and helpless upon knowing that poverty can force some of these girls to such an extent of acting against their own will. So I'm glad that the center is aware that those issues are serious ones, and they are taking preventive measures to try to provide vocational training facilities or do whatever they can to help these females to find a place that they can call home in our society. And you might ask me how I came to know about this center. It was, for some of you who have already read this book, Transition, it was through my godmom, Mrs. Murla, who is here this evening. She introduced me to her sister, Mrs. Dong Samon, who is currently working as one of the directors at the center. And it was last year that Mrs. Dong Samon, together with Mrs. Lawan, another director of the center, they came to Singapore for a human rights conference. And I had the privilege to bring them out for dinner. And it was during that dinner that they shared with me a lot of the social issues that happen in Laos. And I told them that how could I be of help? I asked them. And at that time, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I did not promise them how I can be of help. But I told them that I would try my best. I would try whether I can, to see how much I can do. So, and then from that night onwards, we have been keeping in touch. And it was only in April this year that I managed to go back to Laos to pay a visit to the center. And it wasn't an intentional visit. I flew back there in April just to attend my girlfriend's brother's funeral. And in between there, I managed to squeeze a couple of hours to visit the center. And I was not shocked by what I saw, because I was already prepared by the directors. But instead, I was very touched and very hopeful by what I heard from a lot of these females. They are just like us. They have hopes and dreams, just like we do. And also, I was very hopeful that the center could be improved to further help more and more females who are in that kind of situation that might possibly come to the center in months or years to come. And I didn't have the, oh, good, it's up. That means I can show you some of the photos that I captured when I was at the center. How do I do this? Just give me 1 second. Like I mentioned earlier, Laos Women Union Center is a government-linked agency that provides a lot of opportunities for females in Laos to realize their full potential. And these females are mainly from the disadvantaged background. And this is what I saw when I was at the center. Over here is a classroom, and the floor is full of cracks. There are a lot of cracks, and it's quite hot. I was asking the director, since it's hot, why can't you sit on the fan? Then we can fan all the heat away. But when you start to turn on the fan, there was a lot of noise coming out from there, and it was just extremely hot, and it was very noisy. So because of that, it wasn't a conducive environment for the females to focus whenever there's a lesson going on. And attached to this classroom is a kitchen. What happened is they go to the classroom to learn the theory lessons, and after that, they would come to the kitchen to learn the practical skills. And this kitchen is a very old-style kitchen. And so the directors hope that it can be further improved, so that a lot of females out there can learn the real skills of cooking, not only Lao food, but also other kinds of food that is in demand in the market. And this is another thing about the center. Over here is a bit dark, only you can see it, but it's a sewing room. They are designed all architect in the forms of cubicles. So because that is hard for the instructor to pass the message on, he has to call these females up to the common area to explain to them first, and before he sends them back to the so-called the sewing room. So it's not so conducive, and the director hopes that I could raise enough funds to help them to break away the walls, so that it can be an open space. So it will be more conducive for the learning to take place. And this is so we can see a lot of females at the back, a lot of students. This is another help that the center would like to have. Over here, it looks perfectly, beautiful. It looks okay. But once you go inside, it was extremely, extremely hot. and there was no air conditioning, it was only fan. So when these females learn how to make up, they put on powders or whatever, they would melt away, right? So it's extremely hot. Even though it was there, so it was very hot. So they hope that they could change the zinc roof into some tiles or whatever that that doesn't absorb the heat. Yep. Yep. So those are the photos that I captured in between the couple of hours when I was there. And the reason why I use the word disadvantage rather than the word poor, because a lot of these females, despite what poverty has made them go through, when I was there with them, they still beam with so much joy. And in fact, a lot of them smiled at me so much so that the instructor had to redirect their attention back to her. They were a happy bunch of people. And they were just full of hopes and dreams, just like many of us here do today. Alright? And so that's why I'm glad that all of us here today to try to help these females, hoping that we can raise enough fund for for this project. So far, together with me, Mr. Ho, where are you? Are you here tonight? Oh, hi Mr. Ho. Yeah, so Mr. Ho was one who went to Laos with me last year to my village, and he actually stayed with my family for about a couple of days. And so together with him, we managed so far, since this project started, we have managed to raise about 13,000 US dollars. And the cost of completing this whole project is about 20,000 US dollars. So I hope that the proceeds of the book tonight can make up the remaining amount, so that when I go home on the 1st of August to get ready for my so-called back to school in China, I can pass on the fund to the center to start building and start giving hopes to a lot of these females. And I must admit that I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen next when they start taking more females. But I know that at this point in time, no deserving individuals should be deprived of an opportunity to realize their full potential. And a lot of these females have gone through adversity, and a lot of odds stacking against them. And when you talk to them, you will notice that somehow the adversity has defied them to become stronger individuals. So to me, that's all the more that we should help them. Should not give up, or should not let them go down to a dark path where they cannot find any help on their own. And in this journey of giving back or paying it forward, my only hope is that these females can one day stand independently with honesty and integrity to take care of their own family members, be good wives and good mothers, and hope that when they find a place that they can call home in the society, they can continue to pay it forward to many who are there who deserve a bit of our help. So with this, I want to say thank you so much for your presence, and thank you so much once again.
Okay, now we'll open the floor to Q&A. Just raise your hand if you have questions for our author. Then I'll just pass you the mic. Is there?
I'm not exactly sure.
I'll just pass you the mic. Anybody have any questions? How about me starting first? Just tell us a little bit more. How do you come up with the title of the book? Transition.
Well, for this book, Transition, right? I wrote the first book, Stateless. So, and then the Stateless ended at the point when I said goodbye to Nepal camp. And then I went back to Laos. And I realized that in my short 7 or 8 years in Laos, I've learned a lot through that transition. So that's how I named the book Transition.
Through your journey to Laos, is there any particular memories that stands out the most to you, and why is that?
It's a tough question. There's so many good memories. But the one that, if you were to ask me this question, the one that I really remember the most in this book is about Yaba. Yaba in Lao means a drug that can really make you go crazy. Yeah, so what happened that night was, I spotted my uncle's son taking drug in the toilet. And in Laos, my family and my uncle's family, we stay together under the same roof. but we have separate toilets, and those toilets were only separated by like a zinc roof, and on that zinc roof there were a lot of holes, so you can skip through. So I was in the toilet and I smelled something suspicious. Then I peeked through and I saw my uncle's son taking drugs. And at the time I knew that, because at the time in the 1990s or in the early 2000s, a lot of drugs actually kill a lot of family members, and they have caused a lot of harm to society. So I decided that I should report this to my uncle. But I knew that if I did that, it was going to backfire on me. What if my uncle told his son that, I was the one who told him, and then his son will come and kill me.
How old were you then?
At the time I was about 13. Yeah. So I was very scared, but then at the end I still went ahead to tell the dad because I didn't want my cousin to go down the path of no return. And yeah, I think that was the experience that I really remember the most.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Please raise your hand. None at all.
Oh, Chris. I remember you asked me once last year too.
Which part of both Stateless and Transition do you think has impacted you the most?
Wow. I say it's still for the transition, I say it's still the Yaba topic, because there's one topic on Yaba. What happened was, from the experience, I have learned that, as long as you tell the truth, you shouldn't be afraid of anything. Let your conscience to take care of the rest. And it was my dad who told me that, it's okay, son, don't cry. As long as you tell the truth, and whatever you say is of good intentions, it doesn't matter. I think that's the one that really has a lot of impact on me up to today. Thanks, Chris.
As a student, it is not possible for me to donate for any of your project, and all I can do is just buy a couple books, which is not going to make a significant difference. So I was asking myself, are there any other ways I can participate in your current or future projects?
Wow. To answer your question, right, I should say that no matter how big or how small the amount is, every single cent matters a lot to me. And it's not about the monetary value that we give, it's about how sincere we are in giving. And when you give, will it make you happy? If it does, then you have already contributed a lot. Just to answer the first question. And for the second question, how you can be of help to my project or to Laos, I suggest that if you have time, just go and see on your own, and you'll know what to do. Right? Just go and see on your own, and you'll know what to do. And if you want to be part of my project, feel free to find updates on my website. My student Joshua over there, Joshua, he has volunteered and willingly created the website for me. And in fact, he told me that he was going to maintain it by keeping all the updates there, and then going to take a look at take care of the website. So you can find out more about updates on the website. Thanks.
Any other question?
Seems the questions are getting harder and harder.
Yeah, this one should be quite easy. How's the school project getting on? Are the kids now using the facilities?
For the first project? Yeah, the first project, now the school is up and running. And because the term in Laos, we only start in September, so the school was completed last year, December. And in this coming September, the school can start to take in more kids. In the past, they could only take in about 100 to 150, and now they can take up to 250. And there's also one library where a lot of kids can go there to read on their own. And in Laos, not many schools have libraries. So I'm very happy that this school is one that actually has a library for the kids to read and to learn. So I would say that it's getting on very well, and in fact when I go home this August, I'll drop by there and pay a visit to the school. Thank you.
Just one question. Is putting up a bakery for the people there. Is that of any use?
Wow. Instead of going there and see on his own, now you ask me. Well, for this question, right, I will answer you to the best of my ability. And then if I can't, I'll probably ask my god sister to be here to help me out. Because she has always been in Laos, so she might know better. Okay. I think Uncle Bernard, for that question, right, I think it's really of much help. And because you can not only provide an opportunity for them to work there, you can also help to sustain their income. The key point here is about sustainable. And your project seems to be one that is very sustainable, so I think it will definitely be one that will be appreciated by the Lao society. And in fact, setting up a bakery or setting up a cafe has always been one of my dreams as well, if I have a chance to do a project. Thank you.
We have time for one last question. Oh.
Okay, so we received a call from your girlfriend this morning, and she sent some greetings to you. So can we present you with a token of her greetings? Let's congratulate Sana.
Oh, beautiful.
From her? Or is it any random girl? Oh, thank you. Wow, she really knows how to surprise me.
How do you feel now? Are you touched?
Yeah, speechless.
Apparently. Yeah, so before we proceed to book signing, is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, well, today I'd like to say a few words to one individual that really means a lot to me. And despite knowing him for just maybe like a short period of time, he really has taught me a lot about how to live life to the fullest. You know, many a time where we always focus on the year, when we always focus on the future, I always start asking a lot of questions like, what if, and what's going to happen next. And because of that, we tend to miss the present moment. And this person, right, has just taught me that to focus on the dash, that little dash between the year of your birth and the year of your death. Instead of just looking at, how long I'll live here in this earth. And the person this year has just turned 90 years old. And he's still very sharp, very agile, and very strong. Every time I talk to him, he will make sure that you always live with a smile on your face. And so today I'd like to present to him a small cake to celebrate his birthday. Even it's not his birthday, but this year is the year he turns 90. So we'd like to celebrate that with him together. So and prepare a small cake. Oh, before that, I think good. before the cake, I'd like to present this token of appreciation to our very guest of honor, Uncle Joe. Please. And the person who turns 90 this year is also none other than Uncle Joe. Could we together sing a song for him? Happy birthday.
Everybody join in. Happy birthday song.
Yeah, just sing him.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you guys.
Thank you everyone for being here at the book launch. Now, San will be outside to sign the book, a copy.